time for the Tailgate Sports Show.
Welcome to the Tailgate Sports Show right here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. My name is Trace Knight. We thank you for being a part of our sports program here today. Everything that we do is recorded for a presentation, but also by way of our website at nextdoorradio.com and the mobile app and the Google and Apple Store. We got a good show lined up today. This is kind of the first of many coming up here for Jordan High School. Here is Coach Allred. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm doing well, Trey. How are you?
I am fantastic. Of course, I messed up the beginning of the show. I apologize for that. But, Jordan High School kicks off their first football game of the season coming up literally in a couple of weeks on the 19th of August against Triton. So how's the summer been for you? How's the off-season training for you? Are you ready to rock and roll at the beginning of the season?
Man, with 11 days left to get these guys ready to play a one that counts, it's been I don't know. I coming off of COVID, going in through the spring and the summer, it's the first time we've really had a true off season since I became the head coach here. So we've gotten a lot of great work. We've kind of been able to mold some guys into some playmakers and better evaluate where they might help us out. So I'd say it's been a very successful spring into summer. The weight room was key for us, and I think it's going to really propel us forward.
So, Coach, what has been the standout moment for you here this offseason so far?
Well, we went to the King of the Hill 7-on-7 at UNC, and I walking in there, I kind of didn't know what I had. Taking in a young quarterback, some receivers that were a little bit unproven. I knew I had some talent, but to go in there and win 3 out of 5 games that we played that day against some pretty stiff competition, some guys that had been around the block and played a lot of big games, at 11-on-11, felt good to kind of show out at 7-on-7, and that kind of highlighted it for me.
And Coach of the Jordan High School football program joins us, Coach Allred, right here on our Tailgate Sports Show. So, Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier about a young quarterback. Talk about the aggression that he has shown so far. You mentioned he did some great things at the 7-on-7 tournament. But what are you looking for, and what kind of your goals you have for this young man?
My quarterback, Aiden Kelly, he played for me. He started all 9 games last season as a sophomore. He'll be a junior this fall. He's really starting to finally grasp exactly what we're trying to accomplish on the offensive side of the ball. He understands the playbook. He understands the finer points of the playbook and why things are happening now. Definitely going to be expecting him to take really good care of the football. I think he finished the last 4 games last season with 1 interception total. So we'll look for him to keep being judicial, making sure the ball gets to playmakers in space where it's supposed to, and not cost us games. He has a huge arm, and he has the ability to really lead his teammates, push his guys, and I think that he'll continue to do that going through the summer into the season, and we'll just take care of the football and win his games.
So 4-5 this past year, getting a young quarterback, young team. Talk a little bit. Let's kind of go back in the history for just a second, Coach. A little bit about the 4-5 season. What was your mindset going into the offseason after that 4-5? Losing, and I hate saying that word, but losing in the first round against Pine Forest, who lost in the second round, 28-21. But talk about the finish of last season going into the offseason in general.
The interesting thing about the end of the season. We played some pretty tough games late in our season. We obviously get Southern Alamance the week before the last game. We had an emotional senior night. We had a big group of seniors last year in the fall. So a lot of guys that were here when I made the transition and kind of fell in love with them. We get down to Pine Forest, and first drive down the field like a knife through warm butter, and I thought, okay, we've got something here.
We got this. That's right.
Yeah, it kept slipping away. It kept going downhill from there. But one thing that came to light to me after making the playoffs, which we were proud to do at 4-4, was that 8 of our regular season games were against, 7 of our 8 regular season games were against playoff opponents. That was pretty special. We go in as a 25 seed to the 9, went toe-to-toe with them. I didn't know it until the week of that game that Jordan High School hasn't won a playoff game since 2006. That was my senior season of football in high school. So we've been able to kind of vault that into this offseason. One of our team goals is to win a playoff game. Obviously there's a lot that has to happen in order for that, but that's our overarching goal. And then, go from there. And I've got guys that believe in that mission, kids that understand. Like most of them were born after the last playoff win at Jordan. So we're pushing hard to get back to taste that playoff atmosphere because you can't replace it. The win or go home feeling is amazing.
Again, Coach Allred joins us here. He's the head football coach at Jordan High School right here on the Tailgate Sports Show that airs every single weekday beginning at 1 p.m. So talk a little bit about, again, you finished really the last 3 games of the regular season, get some tough opponents. You had Chapel Hill, Southern Alamance, and then Riverside Durham, which is always a tough opponent. And then go into the playoffs where you had some good drive that just kind of slipped away. And then now you had a good productive 7-on-7 tournament there in North Carolina. So great things are happening. Your goal, and you mentioned a little bit there about winning a playoff game, but as a coach myself, I know that's not the only goal you might have.
Absolutely not.
And so talk a little bit more about that. What are you looking forward to the most? And again, going into the season, which begins at Triton, which is a good opponent, but again, they finished where you finished last year, a 4-6 overall record. And so you have them, hey, we can compete with these guys now, especially when you mentioned 7 of 8 of your opponents last year all made the playoff, which is crazy to think about. But talk about your more goals moving into the regular season here.
Obviously the number one goal each week is to win. We want to go 1-0. I feel like we have the leadership and the team, the coaching staff, all of the things that boil down to being successful on a week-to-week basis. I've got some of the best coordinators in the state, guys that come to work prepared. They're pushing our kids. Other than win on a weekly is definitely we not only want to win, we want to win with some ability. We don't necessarily want to bury people, but I told them, going into this fall that one of the things I'd love to do is wake up on Friday and just have that feeling. Not necessarily the uncertainty feeling, but we're going to at least be in this feeling. So I think we've given some teams some hope. We've also created some worry in others' minds. We've shown growth from the COVID spring now through the fall with just 2 months to prepare to get back on the field. Now we've had a full off season. I think there's some guys that are definitely probably circling us, which is a good feeling. It's fun to be the underdog, but at the end of the day, we'd like to flip the script and be the hunted for a change.
Oh, I love when coaches say I love being the hunted, because you've kind of made it to the point where you wanted to be when you first took over there at Jordan High School. I absolutely love that word. Again, Coach Allred joins us here. He is with the head football coach at Jordan High School. The first game of the regular season begins on the 19th. Against Triton. Talk about the game plan. Of course, they're going to be listening back to the kind of the podcast we have on our website at nextdoorradio.com. But what kind of game plan do you have going into that game?
One of the things that we do, we wait till game week to fully game plan. But I'd be lying if I told you we aren't trying to find every scrap of film that we could find already. They have a very unique scheme that up in Durham we don't see a ton. Their wing tee is phenomenal. They're great at it. They got a ton of athletes. Guys look like they had some young cats playing last year. And if you put on tape with them in the late season, their timing was impeccable. We're definitely going to start to roll out some of those alignment cues and things because they are different this week. I'm taking my guys to Tarboro for a scrimmage on Friday where they'll see a lot of that type of offense and different wrinkles around it. So, I'm already getting a little anxious for that because they are so different than our normal regular opponent offensively. Defensively, good size, good speed, 11 hats on the ball. So they'll be a test. They're nowhere near being overlooked. That first one is always the big one. That 1-0 start is very invaluable. So we'll look to move toward a full game plan for them this weekend coming up once we have a film exchange of some scrimmage film and see what they've tweaked and see where their personnel dictates that their strengths will be.
First game is against Triton. Then you have 4 consecutive more games against non-conference opponents. Of course, you got one circle for Joe Scherer, the athletic director there, against Vance County on September 16th. Of course, we'll be there ready to rock and roll. Coach, I can't thank you enough, my friend. But first, before we kind of end this conversation, let's give some credit where credit's due. Let's talk about some assistant coaches for you.
Man, I've got my defensive coordinator has been with me since I got here. Jordan Smith. He's a Lenoir County boy. I was able to bring him with me from Kinston. Luckily, he and I were moving at the same time, and I'd had him on my radar for a while. There's probably not another defensive mind in this area that knows the football that Jordan's forgotten. So with him, I was able to hire a former player from my J.H. Rose days, Copeland Spell. He's my offensive coordinator now. When I got here, I was trying to call the offense and be a head coach. That's not a fun night. It's not a fun week. By the time you get to Thursday night, you barely hold your eyes open. And I finally just said, you know what? It's time to give the kids the reins. In about week 5 last year, he's done a phenomenal job. The kid is pushing me to do more and to learn more because of his ideas, his creativity. So we've had a little bit of turnover this year. We've got a new D-line coach, new O-line coach. But those are some of the positions that we were probably more talented at going into the season. So there hasn't really been much of a drop-off there. We've got Amari Williams, my JV head coach. He's moving now to D-line. That's what he played at Winston-Salem State. He's absolute stud and great with the day-to-day of keeping JV kids out of my office, which as a coach, you understand that, sometimes as you prepare for a Friday, you don't need to answer the question, can I get a belt 700 times? So, he's fantastic with those kids, and I'm looking forward to watching him excel as well. So overall, I'd say my staff is rounded out beautifully. I've got a lot of really young talent that's kind of new to the program, kind of new to the building. They found their way quickly on painted grass, and I'm excited to watch them work on a weekly basis.
Coach, successful into the year last year, some goals set for this year. I absolutely love it. Good luck the rest of the way. Have fun this season, but of course, let's go get some wins there for the Falcons. We'll be there against Triton on the 19th of August. That's only a couple days away, which is hard to believe. Hey, God bless you, my friend. I'll see you here the next couple weeks, okay?
Looking forward to it. Go Falcons.
There you go. Again, Coach Allred, he is the head of football coach of Jordan High School and the Falcons. The first game will be on the 19th of August. Only a couple more, I say days, but a couple weeks there against Triton, a team that finished 4-6 last year. I love the fact that he mentioned they're going to go to Tarboro, which, if you know anything about Tarboro, they have always had successful programs there, that program. So you look, it's going to be a great test. Get similar offense there for Tarboro and Triton based on what Coach Allred said there of Jordan. We're excited to be the voice and the play-by-play live coverage of Jordan High School every single game, home and away this year. Of course, we're going to have 9 different high schools that we're going to be covering here this year. We're going to have a reporter at different programs throughout on Friday night, but we're going to do play-by-play there for Jordan as well. So, my name is Trace Knott. He was Coach Allred, the head football coach at Jordan High School as they begin the season. Successful offseason, going into the offseason from last year, of course, getting ready for Triton coming up on the 19th. My name is Trace Knott. If you missed this live audio, you can go to our website at nextdoorradio.com about 30 minutes or so after we're done here. If you're listening back to the podcast, the time stamp is 1:19 here on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Until next time, hey, God bless. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. The local football coverage begins on Next Door Radio on the 19th of August. Jordan High School as they take on Triton. We'll see you next time.